seated. I want us to start our journey remembering and celebrating the adventure that Erik's life brought to every one of you. Erik, in 19 years, probably lived a fuller life than some folks that you and I know who lived to be 70 or 80 or 90. His life was full. I'm going to hit just a few of the highlights that the family shared with me, and then there are going to be some friends who are going to come and share some color commentary about Erik's life. Do remember, friends, though, where you are as you use that color, okay? Let's look at how things got started. Born 19 years ago in Fresno, California, took his first breath at St. Agnes Hospital on May the 17th, 1991. You remember what time, night or day that was? 6:54. 6:54 a.m. And when did you go in for that exciting moment?
Just after Janice came over to watch Kayla.
Just after Janice came over to see Kayla. Oh, you remember that, Kayla? Yeah. And what time was that?
It was about 3 or so.
3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Oh, so that was a very quick delivery.
It was an easy peasy.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, terrific. His parents, Susan and Wes Hendrickson. Erik was the baby in the family. And Kayla, I'm so sorry, but I am partial to the babies of the family. I was much like Erik, and that is, I have a much older sister, just as Erik did. And I've heard it said that he often said that he was the good child. It's not true. Let me just throw this out to you. A very dear friend of mine, in fact, probably next to my own parents, the most significant spiritual influence of my life, was a gentleman by the name of Major Ian Thomas. Written several books. He is now in heaven. When my father-in-law, Ted, passed away at the age of 64, Major sent a note that said, "God takes the very best first." Now, Major lived to be 94. I'm not sure what that said about Major. I'm not sure what it says about you and me, Caleb, but we're still here. But God takes us all at His appointed time. Erik had a beautiful sister that I've already talked about, Kayla. She's 21 years old, and she is a student at Pepperdine. I'm just upset they wouldn't even open up my letter of application at Pepperdine. Erik attended Manchester Gate for elementary school, and he graduated from Edison Computech in 2009. As you can see here, he was valedictorian of his class, but he got a lot more out of school than just an education. He was in water polo and swimming. He was also, and I find this fascinating, he was also the secretary of the Chinese Heritage Club. Well, Susan, I didn't know. I didn't know the ethnicity background in your family. And let me tell you, he wasn't just a member. He was the secretary of the Chinese Heritage Club. He did not have one bit of Chinese blood in him, but he loved the field trips that included food. You'll find out why in just a few minutes, all right? He was currently enrolled at CSU Fresno as a business major. And I see right over here that we have a California Highway Patrolman dressed in uniform. Would you stand, sir? Just please stand. Because we're going to give you just a brief salute, okay? Because Erik's dream, Erik's desire, Erik's goal when he finished college was to be a member of the California Highway Patrol. He wanted to be a chippy. Thank you for being here today so very, very much. That means, I'm sure, a great deal to him and to his family. He had also just been hired. They're kind of one of his first real jobs, okay? And I'm sure he would have been the very best employee that Sam's Club had ever hired. But for his college time, he thought it was time to get a job. His hobbies were cooking. Not just your run-of-the-mill hot dog in the microwave, okay? We are talking gourmet-style cooking. In fact, I understand, and maybe you're going to talk a little bit more about this, but he went camping with some friends, and they could not believe the spread that he put out at a campground of gourmet meals. I won't tell them what you had. You can fill those things in. He also loved video games. Did he ever try to do both at the same time? Gourmet cooking and the video game things. He also enjoyed camping. Vacations, besides trips to the mountain camping and going to the beach, one of the best was just last summer when he went on the Alaskan cruise. And he loved that immensely. Favorite foods? Sushi, shellfish, Now you understand why he joined. All right. Steak, prime rib, lamb, Mediterranean style. Told you he was very eclectic early on, all right, his taste. Favorite restaurants: Japanese Kitchen, Cracker Crab and Pismo, Wasabi's, Fish Market. Then he finally got into my neighborhood. Queuing for You. All right? Little barbecue to add to that in Clovis. His favorite movies: you've already heard me talk about him: Sandlot, Secondhand Lions, Gods Must Be Crazy. Favorite TV: Office, cooking shows, BBC stuff. And yes, he hit another one: House. All right? House. I really couldn't find too much spiritual in House either, all right? But I had fun looking. Favorite sports interests: water sports. All right, I love water polo, swimming. Also enjoyed soccer. Erik's spiritual background: it's deep and wide for just being 19 years old. Comes from missionary families. I first got acquainted with the family at Link Care Center. Most of you familiar with the Missionary and Counseling Center in Fresno, and got acquainted way back then. Raised at EV Free, the Bridge in Fresno. Accepted Christ in the parking lot of Walmart. I think that's why he got hired at Sam's Club. Okay? It's because of that significant moment. You're saying, how in the world did he discover Jesus at Walmart? The price was right. Actually, it had nothing to do with Walmart. It had everything to do with another one of his favorite TV programs. MASH. MASH. There was an episode of MASH entitled Follies of the Living, Concerns of the Dead. If you ever watch MASH, you'll remember this one when I describe it to you. Remember Klinger? Okay? He's not well, he's delirious. We all knew he wasn't well in what he wore, but this is really not well. He thought he was dying. In the hospital, there were some other soldiers that had been brought in who had died, and he saw them walking down the road, wondering where they were going. That prompted a 7-year-old boy to ask his mother, what happens when you die? And that conversation led him to a point that he was ready to put personal trust at the age of 7 in a Jesus who says, though you die, yet shall you live again. He's the only one who answers the solution of death. There's no balancing the scales. There's no work ethic. There is no buying your way in. Jesus said, don't stop the little children from coming to me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus said to all the adults around, unless you become like little children, and don't you dare say stupid. Don't you dare say ignorant. Jesus said, become like little children in the simplicity of trust. With an inquisitive mind, ask your questions. And Jesus said, I'll be happy to answer them. Come to me. Come to me and find rest. But come to me as a child. And that's exactly what Erik did. Awanas, I understand that at Fresno EV Free, he got to the highest level the fastest of any other little Awana cubby around. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 was one of his key verses. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge him. And he will direct our paths. The only piece of paper that was found in his Bible was from a sermon that he heard on May the 16th of this year, one day before his birthday. You know what the title of that sermon was? The outline that was in his Bible? Fear of death. The sermon was all about why death was nothing to be feared. When you know Christ, you don't have to be afraid of anyone or anything or any circumstance that can destroy this body when you know the one who saves the soul. And that is Erik's spiritual background. When I asked his parents to describe him to me, here's some words they came up with. Team player, wide circle of friends, smart, funny, likable, wicked sense of humor, well-liked, a leader, more quiet ways than others lead, but definitely a leader. You're going to hear from four of his friends. After you've heard from them, we're going to open it up, not for you to stand up and come up front, but right where you're seated or right where you're standing, you can just pop off that word, that thought that jumps in your mind that describes Erik to you. All right, so be thinking about that. Haley, Kyle, Ari, Raul, and Erik. All right, so that order. Haley, where are you? I haven't met everybody yet, so Haley, okay, don't be bashful. Where's Kyle? Where's Kyle? Way back. Okay, now you can sit right there. You can come up and stay right there. But come on up. I just want to know where you are. Ari, where are you? Oh, right there. Okay, you can stay there too till it's your time. I just want to know where you are, so I can find you. You want to come up and stand with her? You may come right on up. Come right on up.
There are a few friends that leave unforgettable memories. Memories that will forever be imprinted upon our hearts. The memories of Erik that I will cherish the most are those of our childhood. There are many words in which I can describe Erik. I wish to share those that are closest to my heart. Erik was determined. It was his determination, I believe, that led us to become good friends. In our neighborhood, I tended to have many sets of grandparents, but no playmates my age. When the Hendrickson family first moved into our neighborhood, I was so excited to learn that they had a son my age, and it didn't take long for me to meet him. The first week they moved in, Erik enjoyed riding his bike round and around our block countless times, every lap making a point to say hello if we were outside. I was shy, but finally after a week, I decided it was time to spare him the trouble, and following his next hello, I suggested we be friends. We then promptly marched over to his house and began to play, and so began our friendship. The following years were filled with adventures, numerous attempts at building tree houses, cardboard forts, playing at the park, lemonade stands, swimming, rollerblading, morning rides to school. All of these activities became favorite pastimes. Erik, although seemingly quiet and shy, was mischievous. I will never forget the clubhouse we decided to build one day. Erik, believing that underneath our neighbor's tree would be the best location, would there officiate the newly found neighborhood club, but not until it was tidied up a bit. We gathered pruning shears, a shovel, rake, and somehow a trash can and began to get to work, and without a care in the world, began trimming away our